My name is Emily, and this is what happened in the fall of 2022 in my college dorm in Bristol, England. I was 20, a second-year student, sharing a flat with three other girls, Mia, Sophie, and Rachel. We were bored one rainy weekend and decided to try something spooky for fun. Rachel had an old Ouija board she'd bought at a thrift shop, still in its batter box. None of us took it seriously. We just thought it'd be a laugh to talk to ghosts. We set up in the common room after midnight, dimmed the lights, and lit a couple of candles for the vibe. Rachel explained the rules. Everyone touches the planchette, ask clear questions, and always say goodbye to close the session. We giggled through the first few questions, asking dumb stuff like, "Is there a ghost in our flat?" The planchette moved slowly to yes, but we all accused each other of pushing it. Then Mia asked, "Who are you?" The planchette spelled out Lucy. We didn't know any Lucy, so we laughed it off, thinking someone was messing around. Things got weird when Sophie asked, "Lucy, why are you here?" The planchette jerked hard, spelling Watching. The room felt colder, and the candles flickered, even though there was no draft. We started arguing about who was moving it, but nobody admitted to it. I suggested we stop, but Rachel wanted one more question. She asked, "What do you want?" The planchette flew across the board, spelling Stay. Then one of the candles tipped over, spilling wax on the table. We screamed, yanked our hands off the board, and forgot to say goodbye. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing faint scratching from the wall by my bed like nails on wood. The next day, Mia said she woke up to her bedroom mirror fogged up with a smudged handprint on it. Sophie swore she heard whispering in the bathroom, but no one was there. We tried to laugh it off, but things kept happening. Lights flickered randomly. Doors we left open were found shut, and the air in the flat felt heavy, like someone was always standing too close. A week later, Rachel found an article online about our dorm building. In the 1980s, a student named Lucy had lived in our flat and died in a fire on campus. The article didn't say where exactly, but it mentioned she was known for leaving notes scratched into walls. We checked the common room wall behind a poster. There were faint scratches like someone had carved L over and over. We freaked out. We got another Ouija board to try closing the session properly. This time we asked, "Lucy, are you still here?" The planchette shot to yes, and then spelled Ways. We said goodbye and burned the board in a park, hoping it'd stop. The weird stuff slowed down, but never fully went away. Mia moved out at the end of the semester, saying she felt watched in her room. I still hear scratching sometimes, but I try to ignore it. That board was no game, and I'll never touch one again. My name is Carlos, and this is what happened in the winter of 2023 at a cabin in the Sierra Nevada mountains, California. I was 27 on a weekend getaway with my brother Diego and our friends Anna and Javier. We'd rented the cabin for some skiing and to unplug. One night, after a day on the slopes, we were snowed in, so Javier pulled out a Ouija board he'd found in the cabin's attic, tucked in a dusty box. We were a bit drunk and thought it'd be fun to mess around with it, maybe scare Anna, who was already jumpy about the isolated cabin. We set it up on the coffee table, using a shot glass as a planchette since the original was missing. The fire was going, and we turned off the lights for atmosphere. Diego started asking, "Is anyone here?" The glass moved to yes. We all laughed, blaming Javier for pushing it. Anna asked, "What's your name?" It spelled Yes. Nobody knew an Elias, so we kept going, asking silly questions. But when Diego asked, "How did you die?" the glass moved fast, spelling Cole. The fire in the fireplace dimmed, like someone had thrown water on it, and the room got freezing. Anna wanted to stop, but Javier, being cocky, asked, "Are you mad we're here?" The glass shot to yes, then spelled G-E-T-O-U-T. We heard a loud bang from the attic, like something heavy fell. Nobody was up there. I told everyone to put the board away, but before we could, the glass moved on its own, spelling T-O-L-A-T. The cabin's front door, which was locked, creaked open, letting in a gust of snow. We slammed it shut, but now we were all spooked. That night, things got worse. I woke up to the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow outside my window, but when I looked, there were no tracks. Anna said she saw a shadow standing at the foot of her bed, just staring. Diego found the Ouija board, which we'd stuffed in a closet, back on the coffee table the next morning. We checked the attic and found old newspapers from the 1940s about a man named Elias who froze to death in a blizzard near the cabin. The article said he'd been alone, trying to reach help. We tried to leave, but the snow was too deep and our car wouldn't start. That night, we used the board again to say goodbye and apologize. The glass moved slowly, spelling N-O-T-D-O-N-E. After we said goodbye, the fire flared up and the room felt warmer. We burned the board in the fireplace the next day when the roads cleared. Things stopped, but Javier says he still hears footsteps outside his apartment sometimes. I don't know what we woke up in that cabin, but I'll never mess with an Ouija board again. My name is Aisha, and this is what happened in the spring of 2024 in my apartment in Melbourne, Australia. I was 24, living alone in a small studio while working as a barista. My friend Zara came over one night, bringing an Ouija board she'd gotten as a gag gift. We've been watching horror movies and we're in a spooky mood, so we decided to try it, mostly as a joke. I didn't believe in spirits, and Zara said it was just a bit of fun. We cleared the coffee table, lit some incense, and sat cross-legged on the floor. Zara read the instructions off her phone. Keep your fingers on the planchette, ask questions, and always end with goodbye. We started with, "Is there a spirit here?" The planchette slid to yes. I rolled my eyes, sure Zara was moving it. I asked, "Who's this?" It spelled M-E-R-G-O. We didn't know any Margot, so we kept going, asking where she was from. It spelled H-E-R-E. We laughed nervously, but the incense smoke started swirling oddly, like it was being blown, even though the windows were closed. Zara asked, "What do you want?" The planchette moved faster, spelling S-E-Y-O-U. The lights in my apartment flickered, and a glass on the counter fell and shattered. We both jumped, and I said we should stop. Zara agreed, but as we tried to say goodbye, the planchette kept circling, spelling N-O over and over. We lifted our hands, and the board felt hot to the touch. We shoved it under the couch and turned on all the lights, tried to shake off the fear. The next few days were hell. My apartment felt different, like the air was thick. At night, I heard faint knocking from the walls, always in sets of 3. Zara said her phone kept opening to random photos of my apartment, taken from angles she didn't recognize. One morning, I found my front door slightly ajar, even though I'd locked it. The worst was when I woke up to my mirror covered in smudged fingerprints, too small to be mine. I talked to my neighbor, an older woman who'd lived in the building for decades. She said a woman named Margot had lived in my apartment in the 1970s and died there after a fall downstairs. She'd been reclusive, always watching people from her window. I didn't want to believe it, but I was desperate. Zara and I got a new Ouija board to try closing the connection. We asked, "Margot, can we say goodbye?" The planchette moved to N-O, then spelled I-S-T-A-Y. We forced a goodbye and threw the board in a dumpster. Things quieted down, but I still feel uneasy in my apartment. Sometimes I catch a reflection in a mirror that doesn't look like me, just for a second. Zara won't come over anymore. That Ouija board opened something, and I'll never touch one again.